We have reached a significant point in the recent Activision Blizzard harassment lawsuit scandal, in which they are being investigated by a number of bodies, most recently the SEC for workplace discrimination and harassment issues, specifically against women much of the time. We have arrived at a point where, despite all this happening, they are still a company that makes games, and they have to release those games they've been working on. One of those games is Diablo II Resurrected, made by Blizzard, which is a kind of high-profile remastering of an old Diablo game, one that was extremely popular, and this remaster looked like it was going to be extremely popular as well. It just launched today. It's not clear what sales are going to be like, or if the recent events will make a dent in sales. The marketing campaign has been, I would say, a little bit more muted than you would see, as has preview coverage for the game, as outlets kind of wrestle how to cover the game, if they should cover the game, what disclaimers to talk about with the game, given all the ongoing harassment issues that many of which stemmed from Blizzard itself, kind of back in the era when a lot of the Diablo games were being made, and have been kind of ongoing up until recently, where many core members of the Diablo 4 team, including its director, were cleared out as part of this misconduct investigation, not necessarily as people who committed misconduct themselves, but maybe did not act on reports of misbehavior among employees. So that has kind of brought us to a situation where the game is coming out, it didn't move its release date, and yet it's just, there's a little bit of a weird vibe in the air here, even among kind of in the back ends, when PR is kind of talking to us about the game. They say things like, if you don't want to cover this, like, we understand. It's a unique situation because a lot of the work on the Diablo 2 remaster was done by Vicarious Visions, which has only recently kind of been merged into Blizzard and is kind of separate from a lot of these issues. But in many people's minds, understandably, Blizzard is Blizzard, and it is hard to kind of pull apart these scandals just based on whether it's a game you want to play or not. In terms of the actual release, things have not been the most smooth, as I filmed this a few hours after launch here. Many Diablo games, especially Diablo 3, famously had Error 37, which kept the game offline and unplayable for an extended period of time. Diablo 2 Remaster is not launching too much better at the moment. It's only been a couple of hours, and yet the game has been offline or unplayable for most of them. I was able to play a character for about an hour, and then I was sort of booted out of the game, logged in to find my character gone, which was a little unsettling, and yet it popped up later, but the game has been having ongoing server issues that have not allowed for online game creation or character creation for a while now, and it's unclear when those will be resolved. Hopefully we do not get ourselves in another situation where this lasts as long as the Diablo 3 launch errors, but this is kind of tradition at this point, and it would have been ideal to at least have the game working on the technical side here. We are also in a situation where Diablo is a core part of how Blizzard is kind of seeing the future materialize here. It has Diablo Immortal, a mobile title that they are hoping is going to be a hit. This has been delayed till sometime early next year, I believe, and they are especially kind of looking to Asia to be a big market for that. And then there's, of course, Diablo 4, which has always been years away, but again, the fate of that and the exact time that will be coming out is very unknown, especially since it has lost some high-profile members of its team, including its director lately. So we don't really know the status of that. I posited the question of whether kind of Blizzard would survive this entire endeavor, given that they are such a high focus of this investigation, even if they are, quote-unquote, clearing house now. A significant amount of damage has been done, and even before this, Blizzard was not exactly doing amazingly well. They were shedding active users while Activision games, Call of Duty, and King Mobile games were growing active users, and their future slate of games, including Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4, there are no firm dates on these, and Overwatch 2 seems a little odd. It just lost its new kind of executive producer, who has left Blizzard for an undisclosed period of time, kind of in the wake of all the stuff that's happening. And yet Blizzard is going ahead and starting to show off some Overwatch 2 content as the new season of that game launches. So in a perfect world for Blizzard, they would make Diablo 2 Resurrected kind of a clear hit out of the gate here. And given how much attachment people do have to the Diablo 2 series, I do imagine this will still do pretty well, like we've seen with other remasters in the past, like with StarCraft. It is hard to kind of gauge the impact of what the current situation does to sales of the game, but given the industry, I would be surprised if there was a kind of meaningful decline in sales because of it. Whether or not that should happen or not, I think everyone's kind of making their own decisions there, but I know there are a number of players or former players who have decided not to play any Blizzard games going forward after everything that has gone on with the company, and it is kind of a decision that individuals, outlets, everybody has to make on their own, and this is kind of the first real test case to see how that plays out. After this, Call of Duty Vanguard will be out this fall. That is another obviously huge release for Activision. Call of Duty is the best-selling game of the year every year. This year it has some pretty decent competition in the form of Battlefield 2042 and Halo Infinite at the very least, so we will see how it stacks up against them. But for now, we can kind of keep an eye on Diablo II here, both in terms of how it's performing technically as launch here and the reception and sort of buzz about the game overall as it launches amidst all of these scandals. So for now, I'm going to go check and see if the servers are back online yet to get some more impressions of the game itself. And we will see where we're at in a few days here.